shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday Mindshift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Mindshift. I was just turning my light on there. Glad to have people join for today's topic of outsourcing your enoughness. So, how many of us in our life or currently have done this outsourcing your enoughness? Like, we don't see ourselves as enough, and we're looking to get that enoughness from outside ourselves. So that's what I want to talk about today, about how we look outside ourselves to feel enough. And I'll say welcome or thank you, Calm, Michael, and Jasmine, for your comments before the event. Hopefully you get to make it. I don't know who's here. If you're here watching, whether it's live or by replay, let me know in the comments so that I know who's joining. Add your questions, your comments, any of that. Love interacting with you guys, answering questions, hearing from everybody, and all of that. So let's pop over here. Tracy, good morning. Thank you for being here. Omar, good morning to you. Thanks for being here. All right. So, how to stop outsourcing your enoughness? Because external validation or finding our value, our worth, etc., outside of ourselves, it can't close the internal gap that we feel. Sharon, welcome. So Michael, I see you here live. I see Sharon here. Good morning over there in Phoenix. And what we're talking about, it will become clear, Michael. So let me start here. You could have a wall full of trophies, but you could still wake up feeling like an imposter. The truth is, it doesn't matter how much applause you get, it won't satisfy, it won't silence that inner voice that you hear that says, "Am I enough yet?" Today, I want to expose the hidden cost of looking outside ourselves for this enoughness. How external validation can't fill what's missing inside, and how we can rebuild our sense of worth from the inside out. And Nathaniel Brandon says it this way: the first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. And Meryl, welcome. I'm evaluating that, Meryl, because I keep it at 10 a.m. my time all year, but because the US shifts, it goes 12 p.m., 11 a.m. So I'm still evaluating that, Meryl. If I get enough people saying that 12 p.m. lockdown is better, then I can definitely shift that. So Michael, enoughness, like feeling like you're enough, just as you are, that you're important, you're valuable, you have worth, that you're enough, you have enough capabilities to do what you're doing and to grow. You have the capability to learn, to grow, to rise up, right? And this isn't, we're not talking about ego. This is energy. Because when we're constantly performing to gain approval and acceptance, it's using up the fuel that could actually run your self-worth. Right? As I said, you can collect all the awards and still feel not enough, like you're falling behind. You can have lots of compliments and accolades, achievements, but every time you reach for feeling like, okay, I'm enough, it seems to escape. So what are the signs that you're outsourcing this feeling enough, this worthiness? Because when we are looking outside, how we feel about ourselves is based on what we see outside of us, how people respond to us, what do we achieve, what do we obtain, right? When our identity is built on that validation, success can feel like survival, right? We can look at the achievement loop. If I win, if I achieve this, if I reach that goal or I get that promotion, I'll finally rest. I can take a break, right? I'll have peace. But the problem, the challenge is we achieve one thing and then it's like, oh, there's another goal. I can go higher. I can go higher. Then there's what I call the approval loop, where, and hello, Lisa, welcome. If they like me, I can feel safe. But now my safety, my feeling worthy and valuable is dependent on other people's opinions. So when someone says no, or someone stops talking to me, or doesn't show up for my live event or anything like that, I start to feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, I guess I said something wrong. I guess they don't like me. What does that mean about me? And then the appearance loop. Well, I'll just try to look confident. And then maybe I can feel that. Right? Again, we're still performing. We're performing to achieve things. We're performing for approval, acceptance. We're performing to look good. All right, next slide. So, what does this look like in real data? You crash emotionally as soon as the praise stops, right? It feels really good when the boss is saying, good job, or somebody says, oh, I loved your quote, or I love this, or I love that. If we're holding on to that, it's going to give us a peak for a moment and then we crash. It's just like the sugar crash, right? You have something sweet or a coffee in the morning, and then you crash because you peaked so high, you fell down. You can feel anxious if you're not producing something, right? How many times do you finish at one task and the idea of stopping and just taking a break is like, oh, I can't do that. I got to keep moving. I got to keep moving. I got to do the next thing. I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to do that and I got to do that. And the other symptom is you're over explaining yourself, right? You're late. You got to give this big long explanation. Something didn't work out. You got this big long, you tell them no, you're telling them big explanation about why this is true. These are symptoms that you're not addicted to success, but you're actually addicted to that temporary high or relief of being seen, of being heard, of being recognized. So, where does this come from? Think back to the first time you can recall that love seemed to have conditions, approval seemed to have conditions. Mark, welcome. Thank you for joining. Right? Where you got the attaboy, attagirl, but you were missing the presence, right? Whose attention, which parent, your mother, your father, were you striving to get their attention, to just have them present with you and feel like you mattered to them? Who taught you that in order to fit in, you have to do some performance? Right? Some simple journal prompts. Write this out when you get a chance. What did I have to be or do to feel seen as a child? What emotions were rewarded and which ones were rejected, right? We've talked about this before. I'll give you something to cry about. Children are seen, not heard, all of these things, right? Sometimes we grow up in an environment where we're not allowed to express our feelings. Or at least we feel like we're not allowed to. Liana, welcome. And the third question, how have I kept earning love the same way as an adult? Right? So what patterns from our childhood where we had to perform, we had to hide away certain emotions because they would be rejected and show the other emotions that would get a reward? How many times do we carry this into our adulthood and do the same thing? You see, we didn't choose external validation. We learned it. It was modeled. We learned the lesson. Acceptance has to be earned. It's not just given. All right. Meryl's favorite part. Science time. Why does your brain crave this? Why do we crave the validation? As Sharon already said, dopamine, right? The happy chemical, the reward chemical in our body. Praise from someone triggers a dopamine hit. We feel good, we feel happy. But just like other, things we take as well, or any of our hormones, if you get it too much, you start to build tolerance. And then the next time it takes more. Christy, welcome. So if you keep getting these dopamine hits for every time you get pleasure, the next time you need a bigger praise, better dopamine hit. It becomes an addiction, just like drugs or alcohol or smoking or any of it. And according to attachment theory, conditional love we develop when love and acceptance is conditional, right? If you clean your room, if you listen to what I say, you don't argue, you don't talk back, you don't, then I'll give you this. Or if you get an A on your report card, then you'll get this. This is conditional, right? We don't feel love just because. We start to feel like there's conditions. I have to achieve. I have to be a good boy, a good girl. That creates anxious attachment patterns. And we start to chase validation because in our body, our nervous system, it starts to say approval equals survival and safety. And finally, the default mode network, which is a part of your brain that it's a self-referencing system. When you get external praise, it silences. It gets quiet. But as soon as the praise stops, it comes back into action and starts to feel insecure. The reality is you're not broken. You're biologically wired. Like as a human being, you, I, everyone, we are biologically wired to want connection, right? It starts when we're tiny babies, right? We want to connect with our parents. When we're young children, we want to connect with our parents. When we get into a relationship with a significant other, we want to connect with our friends, our social connections. We want to connect. It's part of life. But real healing only happens when your safety is internal instead of borrowing it or renting it from outside you. Glennon Doyle said it this way: you will never be free until you stop letting others define what enough means for you. You can see that on the screen now. All right, so our first practice, the validation audit. Where are you renting your worth, your value, your importance, your enoughness? Get a sheet of paper, write out 3 columns. Top of the first column, where do I seek approval most? Maybe it's your work, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's social media, maybe it's from family members. Take note. What is the story behind that? Or no, what's the story? Are you believing like if I'm liked, I'm safe? And what's the truth under it? Can you say, I've always been safe, I just forgot? What's the truth of what you believe? The real truth, not what we believe, not what we think is the truth, right? We break the belief of, I have to earn it. I'm not enough the way I am, or I'm too much, right? Sometimes we've been conditioned to believe that if I demonstrate who I really am, I won't be accepted. I won't feel safe. So we dial back certain things and we amplify other things. But what's the truth? When you were little, when you were very, very young, what did you truly know about your inherent worth? Or what was your inherent worth? The truth is when a baby comes, the baby doesn't have to do anything. Generally, the baby is held. They just make a noise to, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I need a clean nappy, clean diaper. So I always ask, what changed? The validation itself is not a problem. What becomes a problem is when we become dependent on it. So ask yourself this question: am I using recognition as a reflection, like, hey, good job. Okay, I worked hard. I did the work. I got it done. I'm good at this, whatever. Or is it a rescue? Right? Are you using that praise, that validation, the approval as your measuring guide of who you are? So imagine holding a mirror, but the secret of the mirror is everybody else controls it. When you get praise, when you get compliments, it gets polished and it reflects better. But if there's criticism or lack of acceptance or rejection, it smudges it. And I can appreciate this because my son, I have to clean his mirror almost every day because toothpaste, from brushing teeth, it gets on the mirror. He puts handprint. I have to clean the TV. I've got handprints on my TV all the time because I have a 7-year-old. So, your mirror of who you think you are, who you see yourself to be, you've got, you can collect these smudges on it. And you can spend your whole life trying to polish it and clean it, wiping and cleaning it like I do with the TV. I have to clean it almost every day. If you're looking at this mirror that everybody else controls, you're going to spend your whole life tilting the mirror, cleaning the mirror, polishing, kind of trying to protect it. But the reality is the mirror that you should be using is inside. It's your mirror. It can't be broken. It doesn't get smudged. So my question is, whose mirror are you looking at? Whose mirror are you trying to live up to? And if it's that external mirror, what would happen if you put it down? Real confidence isn't built in your reflection. It's built when you stop chasing it. And Leslie, good morning. All right, practice 2. The 2-chair dialogue, right? As usual, if you want to do this with 2 real chairs where you change places, it's even more powerful. But you can do this as a visualization exercise, a mental exercise, a sheet of paper. Use what works best for you to look at these 2 sides. But the idea is it's about a dialogue between the part of you that is performing for validation, acceptance, etc., and the part of you that might be really buried, that knows your built-in worth. Right? I love it with my son. If you ask him what is his value, he knows. At least he says he does. I pray that I am teaching him that his worth has nothing to do with anything he does. Do I get angry? Yeah. Do I get upset and frustrated when, like yesterday, he decided he didn't like this toy anymore? So first he tried to light the stove to melt it, and then he put it in the toaster oven to melt it. And my wife nearly melted down with the toy. Yeah, that's frustrating. And one of his friends saw some videos and plucked all her eyelashes and eyebrows out. She's 8 years old and she's already getting this idea malformed that she's not beautiful and enough. So in the performer chair, might be something like, I work hard so people will see me. If I stop, I'll disappear. Nobody will know who I am. Nobody will see me. What if I'm nothing? Chair B, your presence, the present part of you, can say something like, you were never unseen. You just stopped seeing yourself. Worth isn't earned. It's part of being you. I love it, Leslie. I love it. That's used appropriately. Yes. But that's what we're talking about today. Sometimes we're using that external mirror without checking the internal mirror. And let me make sure of I think this is on the slide. No, I don't. No. Okay. So, along with our 2-chair dialogue, a few questions for you. What are you, or for you to ask the performer, what are you afraid will happen if you stop performing? What proof do you already have, or have you already given yourself, that you exist beyond results? And what would it feel like to just show up and not have to earn it first? Exactly, Leslie. We pass it down if as the parents don't process and heal their own conditioning and trauma, of course they're going to pass it down. And there's even a school of thought that says, some trauma your grandmother or your great grandmother experienced can actually pass to you genetically. It's not even necessarily about, grandma raised your mom raised you. And so now, the cycle repeats. The Bible says the sins of the father will be visited on the up to the 7th generation. And I used to hate that scripture because I was like, wait, I'm going to get punished for my grandfather's mistakes? I'm like, that doesn't sound fair. But today I realize if somebody doesn't stop the cycle, it just repeats, right? If one parent is raising a child with unhealed trauma, unhealed wounds, and isn't growing, they're going to repeat the same mistakes that their parents made. And then that passes to the next generation. And the mistake gets repeated. Might look a little different, but the basic core of the mistake just keeps repeating. It cycles again and again and again until somebody says, enough. I'm not repeating this. I'm not passing this on into the future. The integration line for our 2-chair dialogue, though, is your present part can say to the performer part, you don't have to earn your own existence. It's already yours. Yeah, we failed, been criticized repeatedly. It is fear. And as you say, usually, Leslie, that fear is real. It's not that like the old acronym, false evidence appearing real. If we just look at that at the surface, it's like, oh, well, then it's not a real fear. No, but that person, it is very real. It's very real. That physiologically, psychologically, the body is responding the same as any other fear. The body, the brain, the mind, it's all responding to that fear because it is real for that person until they do the work to deal with it, to realize, to rewrite it. That, and as we talked about, Leslie, the problem is we keep replaying the same tape, right? We had that criticism in 5th grade about our presentation, our class presentation, and instead of taking it as data and say, okay, for my next presentation, I will change my path. I will do it better. No, we replay this. It's why so many people are afraid of getting on camera, getting on a live stage and presenting at work or for their business, because somewhere in the past there was a negative experience where they felt rejected, criticized, unworthy. And instead of turning it and reframing it and looking at it from a different angle as data, as a learning experience, we keep replaying it. Oh, I can never do that again because that one time I did it, I got rejected. So I'm not doing that. I don't want to feel that again. And we replay it, and it reinforces. And the more we replay something, the more embedded it gets. Yes, that's why my acronym today, Leslie, I don't like the false evidence appearing real, because as you and I both agree, it is real. For that person, it is 100% real. It might be real based on a malformed belief, right? An old belief that they adopted in the past that has never been updated. But it can be updated. So, and the way to beat fear is there's 2 ways I look at. One is exactly, we bring up those emotions. The 2 ways I know is, one, there's neurolinguistic programming can actually help you go back to the event that caused the belief, which could be from your earliest days of after your birth, or it can even be prior to your birth, during the pregnancy, or can actually, as we said, can actually come from an ancestor. And then we can repattern it so that you can take the learning, but you stop replaying the emotional side of it. That is a bit more specialized. An action that anyone can do is take action against it. So my new acronym for fear is face everything and rise. I've read story after story after story of someone who had a debilitating fear and they faced it and they were able to soften it. It didn't go away instantly, but they were able to soften it, and then they could expose again. There are therapy techniques that psychologists and therapists use, including EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization. Say that 3 times fast, where you get small exposure to the fear-inducing item, so you can build up your tolerance, right? If you have a fear of heights, you don't climb to the top of, you don't go hang gliding or go to some major. You got to take it piece by piece, because if we try to take too big of a jump, it just sets the fear harder. All right. So our third practice, the enoughness anchor. This is kind of what I was talking about before. We reinforce the positive evidence. It's a simple practice where you re-anchor that inherent intrinsic value, right? You can practice this by giving yourself daily evidence, right? Write down, repeat it. I am enough because. And you can change the sentence, but acknowledge the positives, right? If I hear someone say, "Oh, I'm just bad with money." If you look back through your history, you can you can actually find times where you did well with money. So like if we say always and never, like I never get that right. I always do this wrong. I'm always criticized for speaking up. Not always, like every 100% of the time, I can bet you can find at least one positive time where that thing wasn't true. So what we're doing is we're looking at these events that showed you were enough, that showed you were worthy, that you were valuable. And as Bernace Brown, I'm going to answer Leslie's question in a moment, and then repeat this every morning, right? Change the ending. So Monday, I am enough because I'm a living, breathing human being. I have worth because I can think, I'm healthy. You can add anything, but it's positive, and then speak it aloud after finishing a task, not before starting a next. So you do something and like, I'm enough because I can do this task with no problem. Yes, Leslie. Exactly right. Repetition. And I love it. The Arabic has an idiom that, funny enough, I learned it the original way because the guide said, "Oh, this is the same as practice makes perfect," which I also don't like. And I said it to one of my students, and he's like, "Sean," he's like, "don't use that." He's like, "That's offensive." I said, "Oh, what do you mean it's offensive?" He's like, "You're telling them even a donkey can learn by repetition." Oh, that's not what I'm trying to say. So he gave me another way to say it, which says a clever person learns by repeating it. Why do we look for the negative by default? It has a lot to do with the brain gravitates to negative events because it's a safety system, right? If you're imagine you're out in the wilderness, you're a person living 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. There's a lot of things out there that can hurt you. So if your brain was focusing on, oh, look, it's so sunny, and oh, the grass is, oh, look, the flowers are blooming. If you were focused on that, you would miss the signs that danger was approaching. Hey, there's a saber-toothed tiger coming to get you. So the brain naturally locks on to warnings and danger signs and negative things. But we have to take control through repetition, through conscious effort. The way I heard it is with negative thoughts, it's like Velcro. They stick very, very easily. And positive thoughts, positive feelings are like Teflon. They're like non-stick. They slip away very easily. I like to compare it to the weeds that grow in my lawn. And I walk through, or my son goes out there and plays, and he's covered with these little green seed pods. They stick to his shirt, they stick to his shoes, they stick everywhere. The cat goes out and he comes back covered in these things. They just stick. Those are like negative feelings, negative thoughts. I would say it's the brain. It's the physical part of the brain that's looking to keep us alive. Leslie, that's looking for the warning signs, the danger, the negative. The mind, as I understand it, is where we can say, okay, yes, I'm not. There's not saber-toothed tigers running around, and you know, the boss's critique is not going to kill me. The mind is where I can actually look at it and process it effectively instead of going, oh, danger. I need to panic. I need to go into fear mode. And then it's also a level of retraining the body through breathing exercises, through exposure. Those are all through somatic movement. We've talked about before about shaking it off. You know, how many times have you felt strongly fear, stress, etc., and a simple walk around your neighborhood, around the office complex, take a walk over to the coffee shop and get something to drink. It resets your body because your body is, once your body is moving, it allows the energy to flow and flow on out. The problem is the negative energy, we tend to take hold of it. As I understand it. All right. So our reflection prompt for today, the part of me that keeps proving is, and fill in the blank. What is the part of you that is always trying to prove something? To prove that you're enough, to prove that you belong there, to prove that you're worthy of attention and respect and love and care. And then follow it up with the truth I'm ready to live from is. And I mentioned this earlier, I didn't finish it. When I ask my son, what is your value? He says, I'm priceless. He says that clearly. That's what I want him to understand. He's priceless. His value is nothing to do with anything, not me, not his mother, not anybody. His value is given to him at his birth, and no one can take that away. The problem, as we said, is we're looking in the wrong mirror, a mirror that is easily smudged or tarnished. When we look at the right mirror, it's a clean, unbreakable mirror. We can see the truth. And as we said, by repeating this with depth, right? Not surface level. Oh, yes, I'm valuable. No, believe it, like know it. I am valuable just because I exist. And surround ourselves with the people that are going to lift us up. And like Leslie was saying, be the positive mirror. I see the greatness in you. Let me reflect that back to you. Whoops, too far. Don Miguel Ruiz says it this way. Yes, we do. We give it away. We rent our worthiness, our value from outside of ourselves. Nothing other people do is because of you. It's because of them. Right? We were always enough. You were always enough. You just learn to get that proof from outside. I think, let's see. Oh, this doesn't have it. Okay, so your 7-day experiment for the next 7 days. At the end of your day, at night, just before you get ready to go to bed, write one sentence beginning with "I was enough today when," and acknowledge when were you enough? When did you do well? When did you do what you needed to do? Right? Acknowledge the positive. As I said, the negatives they'll come easy, but the positives, like I did well enough when I did this. I was enough today. This Once you offer yourself this witness, the need for external validation will chip away. And every time you repeat it, I was enough today when, or something similar, that need to chase external validation fades away. Does it still feel good when you get it? Absolutely. That's a physiological reaction. It's your body doing what it does. Your body, your brain, your glands, etc. When you stop outsourcing your enoughness, everything changes. You learn to stop chasing the spotlight and realize you're carrying the light in you. So notice your light, recognize your light, nurture your light, and share that light with others. As Leslie said, it feels good when someone sees the best of us, when someone acknowledges what we've done, the effort we've made, the accomplishments. Yes, it feels good. But we're using it as a point of recognition. Okay, I did good at that. Great. We're not looking for, oh, okay, I can say I'm enough because Leslie said, and Sharon said, and my wife said, and my mom said, and my dad said, and everything else. So maybe this rattled something inside you. It resonated a bit. And if you're done earning your worth, your acceptance, your anything through external sources, through your own effort, and you're ready to talk about how to shift to live and lead from alignment, I still have spots available for the beta group of Real Mastery Intensive, which is 6 weeks to rebuild from the inside out, to learn to stop living on borrowed approval and validation. Feel free to comment enough on this event or DM me if you want to do it privately to claim one of the limited seats. All right, I'm going to switch over here. Hey, we've got like 10 minutes, so I'm going to pop these up here. If anybody wants to join, as usual, no requirement to be on camera. You can go audio only, but I love to hear from you, whether it's in comments or in conversation. Get caught up. Like I'm your brother. I'm much younger. No, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. Yes, we align on a lot of areas, Leslie. And as Leslie says, let me put her. Oh, I can only do one pop up here. So Leslie said positive and negatives, they're both always there. I like the story I heard about a Native American grandfather is talking to his grandson. And he tells him about in every person there are two wolves. One is the positives and the other is the negatives. And they're always at a battle within the person. And the young boy says, "Well, grandfather, who wins?" And the grandfather solemnly looks at the grandson and says, "The one you feed." So which side are you feeding? Which side are you focusing on, as Leslie said? Right? Are you looking in here for your value, your worth, your enoughness, or are you looking out there? Are you checking the mirror to make sure everything's good? That I'm important, I'm valued, I'm worthy because of what I hear and see outside of me. And start turning inward. Like once we realize we're looking at the wrong mirror, we can change it. Awareness is the first step. Then we take the action to start looking inside. Look for those positive wins, right? Those times when we did do the thing, right? The times when I did get the answer right, the times when I was good at something, to reinforce that positive feeling and learn to get it from inside ourselves, because nobody can take that away. Right? I love the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, because here was someone who was in some of the most horrendous conditions because of nothing he did, because of who he was born. But in spite of that, he found hope and he looked at things from a different lens. And that experience birthed a very powerful book that I highly recommend. So, any further questions? Oh, sure thing, Leslie. Let me just do a copy paste here. And look, I even have a nifty placeholder. That's a new feature. Where I can have a little spot ready. All right. Any other questions, comments? How has this shown up in your life? How have you already shifted to looking at your mirror instead of the outside mirror? And there's Miss Leslie. Hello there, lovely. Oh, I don't hear you. Oh, I hear something coming. How has this shown up in your life? How have you already shifted to looking at your mirror instead of. I hear you now, Leslie.
Okay.
And there's Miss Leslie.
I get it. I need to shut up on the other LinkedIn side. Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
I hate that you changed your time to 11. I wish you would make it 12 again because you always come to mine and but you can't do that when you're preparing for your own show.
Yes, and I've definitely been seriously considering that. I've been keeping it at my time because it's, you have your routine, you have your schedule,
Yep,
and so having it at the same
absolutely.
time. But
Absolutely.
more and more, I've been thinking it, like you said, because you guys all shift, and that puts us closer together, which means it's harder for either of us to join the other's show.
Plus, I do my best to stay right on the hour. One time I tried to do it 10 minutes earlier for that very reason, because there were people backed up. But, I'm better and better. I usually go 2 or 3 minutes over. But, and then because I want everybody to come here next. Right. So, I mean, I'm
Right.
hoping that people will if that we're in the same kind of conversation. So, yeah.
Well, and
So, how
and
do
I do, like, I could tell when yours was winding down because there were more comments coming in. I could see that people were filtering over because you were wrapping up.
Yes, yes. Oh, so
Yeah,
they
I
want
need to
stage or
seriously. Yeah, I think I do. I think I will shift it for next week
oh. Well, I
because of
think
this
it'll be good for all
discussion.
of us.
Sharon made a comment about it.
Oh, okay.
Meryl asked about it. I think it's worth it. It means I have to shift my dynamics a bit, but it
It
actually
really
might
has
it
to
might
be.
actually might work better.
Oh, well, it's possible that that hour may give you something that, right, like if you want to come to a show, right, from 10 to 11, that hour can be filled with anything could happen. Like
Right.
conversations from comments and it kind of, have a cup of coffee or tea, play with your
Right. Well,
son.
and like typically on Monday, I have a standing call an hour before my show. So it gives me it chops me down to 30 minutes to try and get. So I have to do a lot of prep before that. And then it's just kind of watch the clock that last minute. So yeah, I think we're changing it. We're going to bump it.
Well, you always do what works best for you first, right? Everybody else can just deal. But there are times when, you making a change can make a difference, but it has to be your choice. It's always your choice.
Well, and the good thing is on Mondays I have the flexibility. I can shift it an hour. It's not a big deal.
This was such a good conversation. It still is. So yeah, I feel like that we've been fed out of the same trough because I
Yeah,
understand
me
everything
too.
you're saying, and even the things that don't exactly align. I know that I can get clear on them, right? Because it's not that there's only one way. It's how do we process this information and then practice it, right? So we can do what you're doing, right? Where you take a week at a time. You can, there's all, but the thing is to be consistent and doing one thing at a time, which I think you've alluded to. Yeah.
Meryl has a funny comment.
What? What does he
The
say?
positive mind shift on changing the time is reframing at its best.
Well, he's using the law of polarity. I mean, absolutely. It's right. There's always the positive in people and the negative in people. And I asked that question about why do people default to that? Because their self-image, I'm going to say I don't know identity exactly yet the way you teach it, but I will learn it. Um, it comes from the fearful side, right? Our faith in
Yeah,
fears, because those fears, so you have a choice in any
right. We
moment.
always have a choice.
But,
Absolutely.
also though we're bombarded with so many thoughts. I mean, we only catch as catch can, right? We happen to catch ourselves triggered, right? And we
Right.
decide,
Well,
let me reframe.
and like when I was going through some of my training on neurolinguistic programming, like the opener talks about every second there are millions of bits of information coming at our brain, our mind, that
Yeah,
it has
yeah,
to try and, like, if we really tried to process it, our brain would just go bzz. It can't do it because as advanced and amazing as the human mind brain is, and I realize we're talking about two different things. The brain is the physical organ.
yes.
From a scientific perspective, it, and even from a non, just a more mind and subconscious aspect, it does amazing things, and we still can't figure it all out how it does it.
That's right.
I was talking to a neuroscience major last week. So he definitely, he's talking about it from a very scientific, rigid scientific method,
Right.
fMRIs and all that. But in spite of that, the brain's processing speed is about 30 hertz. Most computer processors are at gigahertz.
Hmm.
And the latest smartphones are like, I don't know, terahertz. They're insane how fast they're processing. But our human brain only processes about 7 plus or minus pieces of information at any given time
Hmm.
at 30 hertz. So it does it very slowly.
In comparison, yes.
Yeah, compared to all the tech we have that can do things so fast. And so there are certain factors that we have to implement, and they happen automatic. Delete. If it's not relevant, it's ignored. It's
That's
deleted.
it. Right.
Distorted. Right? Oh, well, it looks like an orange. It must be an orange. We kind of make it fit an established belief or understanding, and then generalize. Right? We distort things. That's why two people looking at the same accident can tell totally different stories because their processing system saw it differently. It had to fit in their container.
So, would you say that there are as many perspectives as there are human beings, and no two
I
are the
would,
same, and that if
I
none
would,
of them
yeah,
extended?
yeah. They're like with you and I. There are congruities, but there are as many differences too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I would reason to believe that there are 8 billion unique perspectives on this earth because we're
When I
all coming from a different experience, different
Mhm.
states. That you were going to say?
Yeah, yeah, I lost it. I don't know what I was thinking about, and then you went on, and well, you got to catch those things when, as you get older.
I
Like
totally
there are
know. I totally
tangential
know.
ideas, right, that pop into your mind because really I think they're attracted into your thoughts, and a lot of times they're fleeting. If you don't grab it right then, it's like it kind of proves that all ideas are already here circulating in the
Right.
ether, right? So I don't know what I was talking about. I mean, some people say that it's I'm getting old. But then the truth is that young people have that same experience where they lose focus and lose an idea when you're building on something abstract, right? that that you're going into a place that you it is unfamiliar.
Right.
What do you think?
And I would, I saw something really great, and it made a lot of sense about where do thoughts come from. And like you said, they're the thoughts, the ideas, they're in the
In the ether, they're
ethereal,
already
the
here.
ether, whatever you want to call it, the
Yeah,
ether,
yeah,
the
yeah.
field. Joe Dispenza calls it the field. But scientifically, they can't figure out. Like they've looked at brains at the most advanced technology, and they're like, how did it get there?
Well, they don't know
Because like you said,
they don't know
right,
what I know. We know how
like
it happened.
you said, this idea, and you're even going like, where'd that come from? Like you have this
Right.
moment, this spark of brilliance, and you you can't explain how it downloaded. Like I've sat there and go, did I just say that?
Well, that's
Really?
the concept of mastermind. So, mastermind is when two or more people are working on the same thing, and I'll get ideas for you, but I have no idea what you're working on. Other than you
Right,
might say, okay, I'm going to plant pineapples next spring. I don't know a thing about your temperature or anything like that, but I will get an idea about that or a question out of the
right,
blue,
right.
right?
That doesn't fit with any thoughts
No,
going on at the time.
that's the proof because the ideas, if you consider, are thought energy. They're a form of energy, and then when we manifest, we're basically transmuting thought energy through repetition into physical matter, which is how I understand alchemy, right? And it's the changing of matter energy from one form to another, and
Right.
we're
The
the
energy
ones who can
cannot be
do it.
created or destroyed. Right. All we can do is transmute it.
That's right. So when we get an idea and we decide, I'm doing this, right? All idea, it just takes someone to take the idea and do something with it, to use conscious awareness, to fall in love with it, to repeat it, to be obsessed with it, compelled with it, to bring it, birth it into physical form. I mean, honestly, there were no airplanes until someone had the idea, for goodness sake. Right? I mean, they
Right.
didn't just pop up on the surface of the earth. Somebody had the idea. So they trapped it. They held it, right? They
Right.
held it close. They fell in love with it. It was clear. It had a big, right? There was everything about it that was, so good. And you were the one. You didn't know how, but you were the one. You knew instinctively. And so it was your job, your purpose is to bring it into physical form to serve others. I mean, that's
Right.
just how that's the story I tell myself, right?
Well, and I was thinking as you were sharing, Leslie, and Sharon added a question that I want to talk about too. And there's something else to share that often when we do the work to clear the mirror, to look at the right mirror and clear things, clear off the obstructions, the distractions, so that we can tune in and hear those thoughts. Like they can actually come in and be we're instead of we just ignore it, like, oh, I'm not, yeah, whatever. That has nothing to do with. If we actually like are tuning in so that we can listen and go, oh, hey Leslie, I had this thought. I don't know where it came from, and I actually had it. I was in a pop-up hot seat coaching event.
Ooh, I
One
don't like
and
those.
well, this one like revealed something to me that I didn't even know existed for me. One of the participants was sharing what was happening and how they were feeling stuck, and they were sharing some very traumatic things happening or that had happened that were echoing forward. um yeah, not everybody shifts, huh, Sharon? And as she was sharing, I started feeling a tightness in my chest, and I got a chance to speak, and I said, okay, first off, when you think of releasing this offer, to your audience or to the world, where do you feel it in your body? I said, because I got a tightness in my chest. She says, I felt it in my chest.
Is that heart centered?
That, yeah, I think that was the heart, that coherence, that brain heart coherence. Like I believe it has to do with some of my empathy, right? Because I've always been a very highly sensitive, very empathetic, and I see it in my son. Like his friend falls down and gets hurt, and he's crying. I'm like, wow, he's like so tuned.
That's sweet.
Or he'll get upset when he said he did something and I got angry, and he'll start crying because he'll feel bad because daddy's angry or mommy's angry.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of a revelation. I'm like, wow, okay, I was tuned in, and I could actually feel the same sensations she was feeling in her body. It was powerful.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, what if parents were able to do this with their children, but they
That's
don't
my
know
training
yet.
ground.
Okay, but they don't know yet, right? They have to be ready and willing. We cannot tell them that this is the time, right, Sean? I mean, they have to reach
Yeah,
a point where there's something cosmic, beautiful that happens when you wake up and say, "Is this all there is?" There's
right.
got to be more, right?
Yeah, that shift point is an internal. All you and I can do, or others, is
Yes.
we can
Yes.
share what
Mhm,
we've learned, what we
mhm,
know,
mhm.
and it will land for people when they're ready. As one of my favorite quotes, when the student is ready, the
That's right.
master appears, right?
What did
We can
Sharon? What was
hear
Sharon? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sharon's question was, how do you deal with when you're trying to internalize your enoughness, but others outside of you are trying to make you, or trying to lead you to seeking that enoughness out, to outsource it,
I don't
right?
understand.
It's when someone is pressuring you about validation and perfection and overgiving.
So you're attracting that.
Yeah,
So
I
so
agree.
okay. So here's what you do. You start looking for people that think you're great. There are as many people that love you as dislike you. And I find it curious that we seem to focus on those people Sharon is bringing up. But the truth is that if we open up and become objective, really there's a whole lot of people over there that fulfill the other side, the self-confidence, the self-image. So it's our choice of what we're going to focus on, to listen for. So you're listening for people to back up that fear, perhaps. Just listen for people like me who see your greatness, who
Right.
always have something nice to say about you. What do you think, Sean?
Well, and yeah, I think, and that's part of learning to establish boundaries, because
Mm,
as we're growing, as we're healing, and we're working through our own stuff, we we will still attract those leeches, we'll say, or the
but
people
not
who
as
aren't
much.
at our, not, yeah, as we advance, as we evolve,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
we will start attracting new people. But sometimes you have to take control and shift to a different room. If everybody in the room where you're at is just pulling you down,
Leave.
doing the crab in the bucket thing, right? I love the story. Put a single crab in the bucket, he'll get out.
Right.
Put one other crab in there, he can't escape.
It's true. It's true. There's a really funny story in the history of Napoleon Hill. where when he was stuck in a room, a socialized or business meeting, where those kind of people, right, kind of the energy drainers, most people, there's so many are negative. So what he did, and I use this too, he said when he realized and he couldn't get away, he lowered Venetian blinds. Now, Venetian blinds are plantation blinds, as you know, modern, in his conscious mind, and visually shut out all the negative energy.
Right. So
So this is where
he was physically present, but he closed the
he
windows of his
closed it
mind.
off using visualization, and this is where um, Silva's mind control comes in. I was author or certified in that training years ago, and it's really, and it's also in Think and Grow Rich, this visualization, the vibration of visualization. There's a lot of mystery there, but that's what actually causes the transmutation. It's the DNA, it's visualization, right, in real time, as though you really have it, with goosebumps and all that,
Right. And
consistently over several months, that moves that into perfect faith that you're going to
right.
have it.
And to bring the identity part in, it's
Mm,
like assuming the identity that I am the person who is taking the actions
okay.
to get, as you're visualizing, it's not, yes, it's visualizing, okay, I'm driving this kind of car, I live in this house, I have this person beside me, like you said, and the more sight, sound, smells, etc., that
Yes.
you
Yes.
add, the more vivid. And as you
Yes.
said, in the present, not someday, not in the
Right.
future, and
And
very
it drives
specific.
your cell, you get excited. And you see, thought is what affects the body. So, lots of study on this, scientific too, that the way you're feeling when you're pervasively thinking something positive or negative has an effect on every cell in your body. So, when it's negative, you might stub your toe, right, or something, like, because you're not focused on anything positive. But if you so I don't know where I was going, but I'll stop there.
Well, and that's, yeah, but that's what I was saying with the identity. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you're thinking on these things, which starts to activate the subconscious so that
that's right.
those actions become more real in the actual present.
Yes.
But also, like, when you assume, you step into that identity, like, I was talking to someone, they were talking about the difficulty of remembering to go to the gym, you know, because they have health goals, right? They're trying to achieve. And
That's funny.
but
That is funny.
if you were living in this world of, I have a hard time remembering to go to the gym, or I don't have the motivation to go, and I have a hard time finding. But if you go, I'm a person who cares about my body and keeping it healthy and at the right weight, and we're visualizing and using the right thoughts, then the action happens automatically.
Well, and even a step before that could be why. Why you're doing it now as opposed to some other time. In other words, that
And
there
that
is,
goes that can also go back to this topic today.
yeah,
Are you doing it because it's literally your motivation, like, I want to get healthy,
right.
or because of some external standard?
Or some, and that's like having someone else. What was it? Bob Proctor told a story of he was teaching goal setting, and and asked everybody what their goal was, and the wife of a guy, the husband and wife, were sitting on the front row, and he asked her what her goal was. She says, "My goal is to help my husband reach his goal." Right, and he made it very clear that you can help your husband, but you must have your own driving goal to make all the universal laws work in your favor, because you understand them enough that you can actually influence people and things around you, you can't control them, but the more you know this stuff, you can actually articulate and influence people, right? In a
Right.
unique way, which is kind of sneaky in a way.
Well, and going back to the attracting the wrong people,
Hmm.
same thing. We can do these subtle shifts and they will self
Regulate. Yeah, leave. They'd
regulate.
leave.
They'll
Yeah, yeah,
leave.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
I
But we're the
as we were.
ones, we're the ones who, and we put ourselves in those situations over and over again, right? I mean, I have been in this group. Oh, I don't think I'll get into that. We're over time. Do you know it's
Yes, I'm paying attention. Yeah, we're a little over
okay.
time,
I
but it's
just
such a
realized
rich conversation, and
it
I don't
real
get a
it,
lot of time to chat with you. So,
I know. And I don't know if
and that
anybody's paying
remind. I was
attention.
thinking about you. I was thinking about you recently too, Leslie. We need to talk because we were supposed to schedule something, but
Yes, yes. Oh, look who's here. I just opened this up. Crabs in a bucket. Oh, I love that story. I don't do with just one or two. My visualization is a whole bucket full of crabs, and they all reach to pull them down. And that's like when you tell your family something and they don't understand where you're headed or what you're doing. And they're going to say, You? When I opened a chocolate company, 20, 23, 24 years ago in the mountains of North Carolina. I had no idea what I was doing. But I had met a chocolatier, a friend introduced me, and I was in a very bad place. My marriage had broken up. And so I filled it up with this wonderful idea of having a chocolate company, which I did, right? I had to, anyway. Um, what happened was though that particular period of time is where I crafted errata the book, right, in on those drives visualizing 4 hours up and 4 hours back this world. And kids do this all the time, but when I would get to the office I would quickly sit down and transposed everything from my dreams and from my visualization. But I had nowhere to go with it other than I had this nice structure and ideas and stuff, but I had no idea how to fill it in. But 20
mhm.
years went by and I learned all this stuff. And when I looked at it again, I had all my learning and everything that I'd learned over these years to actually build on top of the foundation. And I
Right,
don't know why
and
I
that
told that. Go ahead.
well, and that, but it makes sense because when we were talking about the different perspectives,
Mm,
because 20 years ago you weren't in the right phase to like you collected the visualizations and the ideas,
right,
but
right.
it wasn't ready yet. It wasn't right.
That's
You
right.
weren't in the right place. As you went through other evolutions, then
Yes.
it, oh, okay, it makes sense now.
And that's
And
when
I
the
had,
universe holds back on your goals. It doesn't happen often, but if your goal is so long, for example, people who win the lottery, it's a perfect example. If you build a business, every 50,000, 100,000, whatever bracket you go in, you're going to learn how to solve issues so that each level you can enjoy it. But when you win $1 million, you are not a
right,
vibrational match.
you're suddenly yanked up into a different echelon, and you're not
It's a
ready for it.
disaster. It's a disaster because you're not a match. You can't enjoy it. That's the problem.
Right.
You just
Yeah,
can't enjoy it.
and it's the same thing as well, whether it's a lottery win or someone who caught the right decision in business and had a very successful run, then everything catches up. If the person doesn't evolve. And back to Sharon's question, I had one
Yeah.
thing like I've learned
Yeah.
to say it's I appreciate the feedback, but I'm learning to progress differently now.
Oh, okay. Say that again.
That's a that
Because
I
we're out of
appreciate
context now. It's her question. She's
about when
surrounded.
other people are trying to outsource your enough, like you need to
Okay.
outsource your
Yeah,
enoughness.
yeah, yeah. Sorry for just stepping all over
And
you.
she reiterated, right? People who
Okay, good.
expect her or others to look to them, like, instead of, so I'm learning, and Sharon and others were like, I'm learning to say I'm enough as I am. Yes, I'm growing. Yes, I'm advancing, because we're not talking about stagnating and being lazy, right? We're saying
Right, right.
right now, here and now, I'm enough. I want to be better. I want to improve. I want to go up another level, but I'm not measuring it out here. But some people, like, they resent that because now you're not looking to them for approval.
Okay.
I did this with family. I
Mhm.
still deal with it. When we decided to move out of the country, we got so much pushback. Like, you're nuts. Why would you want to leave the country? Isn't it dangerous down there? What if somebody sneaks some drugs in your backpack? Or it's
Yeah.
still insane. And we love our life here. But, the family's like,
It's what you're thinking about. That's such a good point because you're not looking for drug lords and to be afraid. This is how physicians went and dealt with Ebola in Africa, I suspect. Because why didn't they all catch it? Because they were heart centered. They were focusing on service to help people get better. That's where their focus and energy was, a very high vibration. I'm sure some of them did get sick, but that's the same
right,
thing. You're not coming to Guatemala to look for trouble. Right? None of us are. And, so even in the most difficult situations, you're still doing your best to focus on the wonderful things you have, the great part about Guatemala, right? Both exist. What is
right.
it that you're going to
Like we
look at?
said before, yeah, the
Mhm,
positive and the
mhm.
negative exist at the same time. What are we trying to focus on,
Yeah. What are we focusing? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, I
right?
think it's
And
lunchtime from. Oh,
yeah,
sorry. Go
and one quick
ahead.
story.
Okay. Okay.
So one of the reasons I moved out of the US was because
Mhm.
family members. I shared this story with you because my
Yes.
grandfather died before 60 years old due
Yes.
to cancer and health problems.
Yes.
My mother told the story of her mother, who was a nurse in the diabetic wards back in the 40s and 50s. And she saw people suffering and she was scared. My grandmother focused on all this pain and suffering. I hope I never catch diabetes
Right.
because I see the pain. And guess what?
There's fear.
That's what
Yeah.
she was focused on, the fear, and my grandma died young. My mother
And
told the story again and again and again, and she died. And I was like, no, we're not.
we're not
I'm not
telling that
repeating
story
that.
anymore. Well, Louise Hay, those we know Louise Hay is, you can heal your life, and that's what her work was about. And but the sad thing is that by when do people wake up? By when will they
Some
be
never
ready
will,
and willing? Well,
sadly.
and but then even on their deathbed, they will be taken home. They'll get
Right.
it in the last moments. I totally believe that. I don't believe that our universe, it's all about love. So if you haven't learned your lessons and you find yourself on your deathbed, I do believe that everything will become clear to you. I don't know how, but it would be aligned with how I've experienced our universe, which is primarily good, right? But that's what I'm looking for. So,
Yeah.
you know, anyway. Well, what a night! I mean, I don't know whether they're having a nice chat over there. I don't I don't
Yes.
know if they're paying
Yeah. So
attention to us
Sharon says, okay, just ignore. Yes,
or
ignore in
not.
love. I love you. I appreciate you care, but I am not looking outside for my measurement, my validation. I know who I am, and I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm evolving, and I'm getting better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better.
Mary
It
Kay,
is, Mary
yes.
Kay. It is. I look
Yes.
at, I'm part of the 1% club. I say, I try to do today 1% better than I did yesterday. To live my life,
I'm
make
part of
me
the
1%
take
better.
I'm part of the take a nap every afternoon club. And if I do that, I'm 1% better. It's taken a lifetime to get here, but trust me, and it's a whole new experience. So I'm glad I'm here
I,
and still
I
with you.
learned that. I learned that down here in Central America. Siesta culture is like
I
they get
love
up
it.
at sunrise. They
Hmm.
work hard till 10 a.m.
Hmm.
because the sun's up and it's getting hot.
Yeah.
And so they relax in the hammock, have lunch, take a siesta,
Yep.
and at 3 o'clock, get back to work till sunset, and then finish your night out. We lived that way in the jungles of Belize for a year, and
I,
it was amazing.
it sounds
But an
fantastic.
adjustment, but an adjustment nonetheless.
Well, Sean, I'm going to go
Yes,
fix
I'll let you
myself a
go.
salad.
Enjoy
Okay.
your lunch.
Thanks.
I need to make lunch for my son and I because I need to take him to his cooking class today.
Oh, what are they making today?
I don't know. It's always a
What
surprise.
What did he say?
Oh, my wife was hollering because
Oh, okay.
our water went out again.
I thought he was, I thought there was a
Third
response to
world
me.
pro- third world problems. Random points in the day, you go to turn the water on to wash your face, and
Yeah.
there's no water.
And so it's Mercury retrograde, so we'll just blame it on that.
Or it's just life in Guatemala. We say this is Guatemala. This is these are certain
Right.
things.
This was, oh, look here, Sharon. Our electromagnetic field vibrates above the frequency, so they don't come.
Yeah, because I
Interesting.
had I had a person who I could only handle in small doses because she was any story you told, she always had one better
Oh, the one-upmanship.
every time, and just negative Nelly kind of thing. And my wife and I both were like, okay, we'd go see her for 30 minutes. Hey, we're here to visit. Oh, we got to go. Like
Arrogance. Yeah.
we didn't because we loved her husband. He was
Uh,
amazing. But she was the kind that you can only handle for a set time. And then it's like, I need to go away and
you have to
flush.
lower the Venetian blinds,
Yes.
right? Because that's what Napoleon, who knew? I mean, it's
But
crazy, isn't it?
she's self-eliminated.
Yeah, I like that.
Like we're
I like
still in
that because,
connection. We're still in connection through Facebook, but it's oh, how's Angel doing? It's
right,
very
right, 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 right. Well, let's just hope that, intend that one day she wakes up and realizes that there was always another choice.
well. I pray that daily, and every time I did interact with her, I shined the light that I had, where
Yep,
whatever level of my light, and that's all I can do.
that's right.
All
All
right,
right. Well,
Leslie, thank you for
thank
joining
you.
me.
Fun. Very fun. Thank you
And
for having me.
hour later next week, back to 12 Eastern, guys,
Okay, I'll put it on the
guys and gals.
carousel. All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
everybody, for hanging out.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Have a great week and continue being awesome.